I don't know if y'all have heard the Beachland Ballroom by Idols yet, but yo,
that's my Jawn! Hey yo, displace the guilt and...
What's good, friends and family, neighbors, near and far? Welcome to a brand new season of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast. The podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. I am your host, Nate Runkle, a.k.a. Jawn Didion, a.k.a. Johnald Duck, a.k.a. Ray Jonovan, a.k.a. Jawn and Kate plus Nate, a.k.a. Johnatello, a.k.a. Nate 3.0, back once again with another episode of the podcast. As always, I hope this podcast finds you all in good health and in good spirits. A little later on, I am joined by the incredible Nicole Atkins. I have been a fan of Nicole since I first heard Neptune City years ago. I was obsessed with that album. Seriously, if you've never listened to it before, treat yourself immediately to 43 straight minutes of pure sonic brilliance. I am 100% honored to have her on my show today, and I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Well, what's up, folks? Long time no see, or, here. I hope you don't feel like I ghosted you. You feel like I ghosted you, don't you? I kind of did, didn't I? Because when last we spoke, well, I spoke, you listened. Well, maybe you spoke. I didn't hear you. Well, I couldn't hear you. Yeah, that's one of the setbacks of this medium, is this conversation that I have with you week in and week out. It's so incredibly one-sided. Okay, sorry, I'm sidetracked. The last time we spoke, I said, hey, join me next week. And then I didn't. I didn't join you. I apologize. I had meant to do one more episode before the summer break, and it fell through. And then it was summer, and I needed a break. I know. I should have at least called or left you a Dear John letter, but I flaked. I'm sorry. I flaked, okay? And I hope you can forgive me. And if you're joining us for the first time this week and this is your first experience with the show, you're probably confused as shit right now. So just to catch you up, I'm Nate. I'm the host. I'm a DJ, singer, songwriter, author, podcaster, and from time to time, I can be a flake. There, I said it. Anyway, I hope you guys all had such a groovy summer. But now it's time to get back to business. It's time for me to get back to business. I have some great guests lined up for you this season. Starting with... my guest today is a singer, songwriter, musician whose powerful voice and luminous songwriting has mesmerized audiences with an otherworldly charm. Her fifth album, Italian Ice, recorded at the legendary Muscle Shoals Sound, is available now. You've seen her on Austin City Limits, Conan O'Brien, David Letterman, Jules Holland, and folks, you are about to see her here. Gang, it is my honor to welcome to the show, Nicole Atkins. All right, I think we're going. Cool. Look good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by the great Nicole Atkins. Nicole, thank you for joining me on this show.
Yeah, nice to meet you the other day.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, for the listeners, I haven't recorded the intro yet, but they will have heard this. But we met at the Exponential Music Festival, and it's actually, I want to say, like, how many of those have you played?
I think that might have been my fourth.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I was there for 3 of those 4. But afterwards, we met, and you agreed to do this show, and I'm still kind of in shock.
I love the name.
Oh, well.
That's my job. I mean, how could I say no?
The name gets me pretty far. So I like to start everything off always talking kind of about like how you and your art and your music kind of came into my life. All right. So 2007, it should not be a surprise. When Neptune City came out, XPN was playing it a lot, and I became obsessed with that album. Right?
Really?
Yeah. It was absolutely phenomenal. Like I'm a production geek, and just the production on that album is so stellar. And then your songwriting and your voice on top of that, just I was absolutely obsessed with the album. So then I saw you at one of the Exponential Music Fests, and you finished playing. And I just posted this tweet. It was something like Nicole Atkins just blew away the stage or something like that. And as I'm still sitting there in the audience, you replied and you were like, thank you so much. And I was like, oh my gosh. And now, yeah. And now fast forward, kind of the same thing, except for in person. And now we're having a conversation on a podcast. So I appreciate it. And here's my question. 88.5 plays a pretty big role in this podcast because I'm such a fan of it, and the music styling pretty much mirrors my own. How is your relationship with 88.5 kind of, where did that come from? Was that organic or?
They were one of the first stations that I was introduced to when I recorded Neptune City and had to go around and do all of like the radio meet and greets. And they were just so easy to get along with. You know, like I'm from Jersey, they're from Philly. It's just kind of like the same but different. And they let me DJ. They let me guest DJ. So I got to play some Zappa and some Can, and we just became buddies.
That is so amazing.
At the station.
It's honestly the best station in the area, possibly in the country. I know there's other, but look, I'm a homer.
Chances on things, you know, they don't play what they're told to play. You know, they play things because they love it.
Yeah, and beyond being
that's listeners.
Yeah, beyond being a radio station, I also like really appreciate the community they've kind of created. So.
Definitely, it's a great community. The World Cafe, and you know all of the things that they put on for the city. It's just great.
It's incredible, and your performance that day was absolutely stellar. It was incendiary, to borrow a. Yes. It was great. That
was one of our first gigs without a keyboard player, so that worked out well.
You wouldn't.
Yeah, I was like, this is terrible. Yeah.
It was so great. So let's completely rewind to a very tiny Nicole Atkins. When you're a child, what kind of music is like playing in the house? Like what's going on?
Oh, so much. There was a lot of Michael Jackson playing in the house. There was a lot of The Who, because Tommy just came out on HBO.
Oh, nice.
You know, The Grateful Dead. There was a lot of oldies, you know, those cruising classics, kind of like Frankie Valli and Jackie Wilson and Roy Orbison, and a lot of George Thorogood, who my dad just saw in Atlantic City last weekend. He was pumped. And just tons of music, lots of Fraggle Rock, lots of Jim Henson. And then, you know, MTV kind of came into the picture, and it was a lot of like Lisa Stansfield, Lisa and the Jam, Digital Underground, anything they played on MTV.
Perfect. I love it. So you started playing piano, I believe, first?
I wanted to. I got piano lessons when I was 9, and I got them from this guy named Duke Shea, who had a ring on every finger. And he was just hell-bent on me learning sight read. And I could play by ear. And I wanted to learn Led Zeppelin. And I was just like, come on, here, check it out. This is Led Zeppelin. And so my mom tells me that he died. So my lesson stopped. And then I find out later that she didn't want to let me know that he quit because I would only play by ear. And she didn't want me to think that somebody quit on me. And I was like, do you think that's better to tell me that somebody died? You know, she's Sicilian. So, you know, that's how they roll.
that's so you're playing by ear. Like, did you have like a musical household? Were there instruments in the house?
No one in my family was musical. We had a piano at the house. And so I would, you know, teach myself songs and pick them out. But I never liked to sing. I never like to sing in front of people unless I'm on stage, you know, or my parents were at the bar too late. I'd get all the other kids like assembled into like some little, you know, we'd recreate one of the videos from like In Living Color and like do all the dances. Like unless I'm performing, I don't like, and even now, like I don't sing around the house. I don't sing in the shower. And then I found my uncle's guitar. My uncle passed away when he was 13 from like a freak accident. And I found his guitar when I was 12 in the attic. And so I would like sneak up there and teach myself. Like I'd go to like Sam Goody in the mall and buy music books. Like I bought like a Lemonheads book and a Grateful Dead book and a Fiona Apple book and taught myself how to play.
That's I kind of, I don't know if you saw the glow. I was a third key at Sam Goody for a good portion of my life.
Nice.
So
Yeah, I miss it, man. It's giant plastic boxes.
oh, it was the greatest place on the earth.
Neon, pink neon. It was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so you start teaching yourself how to play guitar. How quickly do you start writing your own music?
I didn't start. So I started playing guitar when I was 12, but I didn't write my own music till I was 21.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I would always play gigs and I'd always sing in people's bands and play covers out and always played bars and restaurants. And it wasn't until I graduated college and went to this local venue in Asbury Park called The Saint. And I asked for a gig and he's like, well, we're all original music now. Do you write your own music? And I said, I lied and I said, yes. And I had 2 weeks to write 45 minutes worth of songs. And it was like, once I had a deadline, I was away from school in North Carolina. Like I had experiences that I could actually write about.
Yeah.
And then that became like my whole focus.
Do any of those songs still exist? Were they any good?
They exist, but I hope that no one ever finds them. Yeah. It was like that thing where it was like, oh, wow, cool. I can write a song, but it wasn't necessarily what I wanted to listen to.
Yeah.
I was just stoked that I could do it. And then after a while, and I started doing open mics at the Sidewalk Cafe in New York and going down to the Pontiac Grill in Philly and the Fire and playing and meeting other musicians, and seeing what they did. And then I was able to craft my sound. And I found one of our friends was a producer and he helped me like, what movies was I into? Like, what was my family like? All of these things about my life influenced the sound of what my sound is. And the girl group sound that came from it was more so out of necessity of, I can't play lead guitar, but I know what I want to hear. So I'll just sing it and stack it and harmonize it.
Okay.
So it had a girl group thing happen to it by accident.
Yeah. So when you're playing kind of those open mic nights and stuff like that, and I asked this because I was kind of around in those times, probably playing the same open mics, if not the same night, but whatever. Were there anybody else around that you can remember that were kind of playing at the same time, or?
Well, in New York, it was Langhorne Slim and Regina Spektor.
Okay.
And the Peaches. It was a really exciting time because everybody was like unsigned and just hanging out and sneaking beers into places and pieces of pizza because we're all broke. And I had a Dodge Ram Charger that I actually learned how to park on South Street because my best friend was going to UPenn and we'd always go to the Khyber and see all psychedelia bands, like the 3 for 10s and Aspera Ad Astra. And these like really great psych bands that were happening in Philly. And that was really inspirational.
I was just going to say like that scene around that time, like was just really something special. And I don't know if it's because I aged out of it and there's a cool scene that I'm missing right now, but I
wish there was. I don't know if you aged out of it. I think a lot of, bands just stopped or, went on to do other things. Like I know my friend Jamie from the 3 for 10s, him and his dad own an Irish pub that serves pierogies in Philly. Apparently really good pierogies.
Yeah.
He always said that. I never have time to go, but I want to someday.
I love pierogies. I would like to check that out. They are the best. So you're kind of playing these open mic nights and stuff like that, and you're kind of crafting your sound. Somewhat previous to that, but are you still doing covers at this point? Like what kind of...
No. By then I was doing all originals, but I did have a gig every Wednesday in New Jersey at an Irish pub that I played from like 10:30 to 2 a.m. And I would do like Pavement covers. Like I played Range Life and Sebadoh. I used to play Skull from Sebadoh. Man. I did like, just like a lot of like college rock songs, and then when it got popular and they moved me up to like Kelly's, which is like their bigger bar. And on a Friday night, which is just like drunk construction workers that want to hear Bruce Springsteen, I got fired after that because I don't know.
My problem always, I've hosted a bunch of open mic nights in my life where no other musicians show up. So it just ends up being like a night with Nate, you know, is people would request songs and I'd be like, oh, I like, you know, if it was like Bruce Springsteen, I'd be like, oh, I know Bruce. And then like, I'd play like some obscure B-side and everybody would be like, are you going to ever play that Bruce? And I was like, it was 2 songs ago. You didn't love it? Like,
yeah. And like from those days though, it was the first time, like, I remember playing one of my own and somebody being like, who's that? And I was like, that's me. And they were like, that's great. And I was like, it is.
Yeah.
You know, so it is. I've got a lot of confidence from that. And or another time, like I remember, I forget where it was in Philly, at the Pontiac Grill, I think. I got booked with a like hardcore punk metal band. And I was like, oh my God, you know, just like this like little girl with her acoustic guitar. And they were so nice to me. And this guy, Toothless George, that came out of that band, we're still in touch. He lives in San Diego now, but he's a one-man band.
That's awesome.
Like teeth missing, plays everything, you know? So it's like genres never really mattered back then. You know, everybody was, you know, just seeing what everybody else did creatively. And that was what was so fun about it.
Yeah. I mean, like that, like, again, that time period, like, and I think, you know, stations like 88.5 and stuff like that kind of breed that kind of no genre threshold, you know? Yeah.
Like, where can you like turn on the radio and hear like Linda Ronstadt and Can?
Right.
Like, or like play a local gig and say to the DJ that comes like, hey, play my stuff. And then like, takes like Adam Franklin from Swerve Driver to be there, like, hey, you should play your stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, that's happened to me.
Did you find it hard getting into places early on, or was it very receptive? Like,
well, it wasn't easy because you didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
But in our area, there were so many places. You know, you could go to New Brunswick, you could go to New York, you could go to Philly, and you could go to Asbury Park. And so that little, you know, our little chunk of, you know, the planet had so many things to do, especially in the summertime. And I ended up taking a job at the Stain after that. I worked the door in Asbury Park. And then I would go up to the office and I saw all these boxes of CDs. And I was like, do you go through all these? And he's like, nah, I should. And I was like, I'll go through them. And so I ended up like booking nights and booking shows. And I started, you know, and I knew that I love being in the scene, you know, and I knew that I wasn't writing songs yet that I wanted to listen to, but I wanted to promote other people that, you know, I loved. So I remember like I went to college with Ava Brothers and I booked their shows in the back of a restaurant that I worked at with Regina Spencer and Langhorne Slim, and I got a vodka sponsor. It was a mess. It was like, yeah, free vodka and chicken wings. But, you know, I always just like come from the mind of if you can't find what you want to be part of, make it happen yourself.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to do stuff for the culture rather than just for the paycheck.
Yeah, definitely. You know, one of the other things that I find really kind of interesting about that is you seem to collaborate really well with people. So that like coming from that scene makes so much sense of kind of building those shows and being around, you know, that many different people.
Yeah.
Has it always been that way? Like, have you always played well with others or?
Yeah. You know, I don't like to be alone, you know, and I'm a solo artist. So any chance I get to collaborate with other people, it's like, that's just a really fun way to hang out.
Yeah.
You know, and take away from it. Like, instead of being like, hey, let's go get lunch. And we're like just sitting there eating food in front of each other. I'd rather sit at my house and have some lunch there if you want with some guitars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or make paintings.
That's incredible. So what was the pivot point, do you think, when you started writing music that you wanted to hear? Like, can you pinpoint a song where you were like, did it?
Yeah, I had the song Skywriters. That was the first song that I did that was like really like well produced and kind of echo in the Bunnymen-ish and eerie sounding. And it sounded like Shark River, which is the neighborhood I'm from, like the river at night. That's what I wanted it to sound like. And, it sounded like me. And I like noticed that when we'd have parties, that's when I'd be drunk and be like, yo, check me out. Like
Yeah.
when I wanted, like when it wasn't like friends like, hey, play me some new stuff. When it was like me just getting in people's faces, like, listen to this fucking shit rules, but, and I went into this bar 2A one on Avenue A in the city. And I had like 4 songs that were my demos. And I went up to the bartender and I was like, hey, I just finished this. And he put it on repeat all night. And all these people kept being like, what is this? What is this? And I was just like, oh my God, and that was such a great moment. And then after that, like I had, my, collaborator, Dan Chen, like came up to me at a party and he was like, I heard your demos. Do you need a band? And then we had a band. And then like, I'd always have a bag of my demos with me. And like, I would just go to bars and get drunk and, hey, here, take this, which is kind of cringy now, but like, you have to do that, but you have to do that in a way that isn't just like, here, I want you to do this for me. Like you have to be cool. You have to hang out. You have to get to know people, ask them about themselves genuinely. I just love people, I'm a people person. And I think like 8 months after I gave the demo to this one guy, he emailed me that his sister was a music lawyer and she liked it and she wanted to meet me. And it turned out she was like at a huge place and like discovered the Arcade Fire. And then I started working with her and like, she just like, our shows went from like all of our friends in the Lower East Side to like, Suits and free dinners. And it was all very exciting. It was funny because it's like, I can't pay my rent and I'm eating a 4-pound lobster. How does this work?
Right. Well, yeah. And like those kind of moments, like it is kind of like just when the call comes, you better be ready. And you had the talent, you had the voice and the songwriting that, it seems like you were definitely ready. Was there any struggle kind of making that transition to looking out into the audience and all of a sudden?
No, there never was that. I mean, I think it's been a process throughout the years of doing it for 15 years that it gets better all the time. Yeah. Especially too, like touring without a crew. You really work on your comedy chops while you're waiting for shit to get fixed because you have to fill up the time, and also like being of the mindset of, like going from, oh man, only 20 people came to like, okay, 20 people came. How do we entertain the fuck out of them? Yeah. The show went from like, are people going to like me to how can I make all of these people feel great? So in a way, you're like a drug dealer. It's a hard job keeping everybody high. Someone said one.
Well, you've got great drugs then, because
I do.
Very successful at making people high. So then major label comes knocking. What's that like to have kind of that behind you?
I mean, for me, it was kind of like a no-brainer. There was a lot of like indie labels that were interested too, but it was like when I went to Columbia and saw like Pink Floyd and Barbra Streisand on the wall, I was just like, I mean, like this never happens to a person like me. I got to do this, Yeah. And even though it didn't work out, I mean, it worked out where, I got to skip a few steps, which was good and bad because I was like used to things being a certain way. Mm-hmm. And then I, took some years and some interesting albums or harder albums to figure out how I can make it work on my own in the way that like feels good for me, so I always just try to think of like my work as a life's work, not like it's good for managing expectations, but it's also, it's nice to see the bigger picture of like, a long life and a body of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That is one of the things that like, that I love is that, as obsessed as I said I was with Neptune City, it wasn't a peak, it was definitely like like an explosion of like the Big Bang. It was like the Big Bang of Nicole Atkins talent, Yeah,
definitely was like an introduction to my like weird little world.
Yeah. There's a story, and I think it might have been on one of the first World Cafe interviews that I remember hearing. I know we're going back.
I walked in on David Dye. I walked in on him peeing by accident right before that interview. I was mortified. I was like, "Oh no, I didn't see anything." I didn't see anything.
Oh man. But the thing that came up in the interview that I always thought was really interesting was the story about Bruce Springsteen coming to the bar that you go to, and you weren't there. And I've always been curious. Have you met Bruce since then?
Yeah, a few times.
Yeah.
He's awesome. It's been a long time since I've seen him now, about maybe 8 years, but last time I saw him, I was jogging. I was jogging on the boardwalk, and I look like shit. And I just hear Nikki, and like no one calls me Nikki. And so I see him with his hat on, and he was with his cousin. Like we just dipped into a bar that wasn't open yet, and like I told him about me getting married, and showed him the place that I was living at. He was like, "Oh man, that place is so cool. I would like to hide there." I was like, "I'll leave you a key under the gnome." He's such a nice guy, genuine dude.
Yeah, he is kind of this is going to be an amazing pivot, by the way. But he is kind of what I think embodies now everybody says like the Jersey Sound or something like that, but I think even beyond that, there's like a fraternal nature of like people from bands from Jersey. And here has been my theory. And maybe you can back it up. It's literally just Asbury Park, right? Like everybody kind of. Yeah. I'll
say yes.
Yeah. It's such a hub. Like, I feel like it's such a brilliant hub of music. And
just certain places that have that, like Asbury Park or Detroit or Muscle Shoals, or where it's like, there's no reason for it. It just happened to have some talented people be born there.
Yeah. It's great, and
move off to New York or LA,
Yeah. It's the same way I feel about Philly at times. But like Philly works very weird in like waves of like, it's a scene and all of this stuff's coming out of it. And then it's quiet for a little bit. And then it's a scene and all this stuff comes out, but
that's Asbury is too, it was a super quiet scene before, I got signed, and I think there was the band, the Parlor Mob, they got signed. It was like, that was like the 2006 to 09 summer was like it was a rejuvenation of Asbury Park's music scene. And I'm not sure what's going on there now, just because, I live in Nashville now, but the town, there's $22 lobster rolls now.
Yeah.
It's not even price. So it's back.
Yeah, I was just in Cape Cod, and a lobster roll was $30, and I was about to flip the table, but then I paid $30 for lobster rolls.
Yeah. I remember getting me and my grandfather lobster rolls. He's like, "I would like to try that," and it was $40 or $44, and like I was like, I didn't even get a drink. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. It's totally wild. So another thing that I really find fascinating about you is your choice in covers. You pick very, like, they're not even always obscure. Like, you just pick really good, like, oh yeah, that is an amazing song. Why do and you do it enough that like you put your own kind of on it. I don't know what that.
Yeah, I only do covers that, like, when I hear it, I can hear myself doing it or rearranging it in a way that, like, almost kind of for me makes it like my song.
Yeah,
and I get so excited because it's not that often I hear things in that way. It actually happened today with Jacques Brel. I was like, oh, and it was like an emotional roller coaster. Like it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah,
to happen.
I
hear a song and hear my way in.
I just heard this week the different drum that you did with Scott Bradley.
Oh, yeah. And, I didn't even putting that out. I just went to his house. He's always like, "Hey, get in front of this camera and sing the song." I'm like, okay.
Well, that answers that question, because I was going to be like, where did that come from? Because it's like a perfect song for the both of you.
That song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always do that song at my bar gigs.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Now,
and then I transitioned it from that song into the Laws There She Goes because it's the same clip.
I like it. I like it. See, I'm a big fan of that song because, and this comes up a lot in this podcast, and I can already hear the listeners going, "Oh, Christ, here goes Nate." But written by Mike Nesmith, and
Yes.
Mike Nesmith's solo
Tribute.
output. Yes, exactly. Mike Nesmith's solo output is like one of my greatest unsung things,
It's wild.
isn't it?
Yes, movies, his homemade sci-fi movies he does
Yeah.
with his family. So crazy.
He's the
What a
best.
cool guy. Yeah.
I would love to talk to him someday because
Sure.
strangely,
Fine.
the monkeys have been like a backbone of my life, like my entire life. And
Yeah, me too. They were one of my first loves. So who was your favorite monkey?
Mike was even as a little kid, and I think it was the hat. Who was?
Mickey.
Oh, okay.
Because he was funny.
Yeah. No, he
To the list, the list of questions. Monkeys plays heavily on that list.
Oh, really? Oh, spoiler alert.
Mhm. Spoiler alert.
I did a whole segment of this podcast, and that's why I make this joke, that I believe the Monkees should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and until they are inducted. Thank you.
They should. I mean, that whole thing is a crock of shit anyway.
It really
I
is.
mean, what are they going to like start something like in sync into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Probably. They will.
We did this, but I feel like, and this is no slight. What was that?
Tina Turner's not in the Rock and Roll Hall.
I know. There's a lot. Harry Nilsson. Yes.
It's a crock of shit.
Yeah. But Dave Grohl is in for the Foo Fighters, and I like the Foo Fighters, but what the fuck?
I like them too, but like give the guy some time to get old.
Right?
You know?
I said,
Makes sense.
I haven't written them off yet, but there is a time, and I feel like it's in the next 2 or 3 years. If there is a Weezer induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, who is a band that I like, I think.
Yeah, but still,
That's the tip. That's going to push me over the edge.
until they get to be my dad's age, they shouldn't be in there.
Yeah, I am 100% in agreement there. 100%. Here's a question for you. Your latest release from last year, Italian Ice. At any point, did you think about calling it Water Ice? Because I'm from Philly, so.
No, never. No, Water Ice.
Okay, now what about a Philly remix album of Italian Ice, and it's called Water Ice? Think about it.
If somebody wants to do it, let me know and I'll send you the stems.
Okay. You hear that, guys? So make it happen.
Yeah,
We got to keep it Philly in here. You know what I mean?
yeah. Call up, make it happen.
I would love to. That would be actually a really good collaboration. Would be
Yes.
the two of you. Have you bumped into him around? Because
I
He
actually
was-
bumped into him like way back in the day outside the fire in West Philly. And yeah, I used to see him at Brooklyn Bowl all the time because he DJ'd there every Monday, I think.
yeah, he's a great guy. He's a really great guy. So one of the other things about the covers that I had to bring up is that cover that you did at the XPN Fest of 7 by Prince.
Oh, I got so much shit for that because we weren't ready.
It sounded great.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
I will also take this time to apologize to WXPN, who sent me a copyright infringement notice for posting that video. But
Did they?
yeah, they did.
Oh, shit. Will you send it to me? Because I'd like to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send it to you. Yeah,
I want to see it.
they did. I think I'm not 100% sure. I think it's because I used the Exponential Music Festival logo, but I wasn't going to push it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right
So,
on. Yeah.
okay. But I'll send you the video. It's great. It's really great.
I want it.
How did you pick that of all of the songs from? You were looking for a song from '92, right?
Yeah, I was looking for a song from '92 because that's when XPN started. So they wanted something for their anniversary. And out of all the songs on the list, like that was one of my favorite songs, you know. And when I started playing coffee houses in high school, like we used to always do a giant acoustic jam of 7.
Oh, it's awesome. It's a good one.
Mhm.
So you're touring now. Is that the band that you had there at the fest?
Yeah.
Is that the touring band now?
My band.
they're
Family.
amazing. On the album as well? Are they? Is that your?
No, the album was actually Binky Griptite from the Dap Kings and Jim Sclavunos from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds and
Oh, wow.
Spooner Old and David Hood from the Swampers that like played with Aretha Franklin and everybody. And,
Yeah.
Spoon and Carl from My Morning Jacket. Like the band for the album was insane.
Wow. A fly on the wall on that one.
Yeah, real for real. Thankfully, there's a YouTube video of the making of it. And I'm glad we had somebody there to document it.
Oh, I got to check that out.
5 days of the perfect storm and everybody was available. I couldn't believe it.
When did you record that? Pre the world?
Yeah. Pre the world getting all funky.
What was it like releasing an album kind of with all of that going on? Because you can't promote it really, right?
Yeah, I started doing a TV show in my attic. Like my husband did the sound and my neighbor did the video, and it was like a variety show where I would sing the song to tracks and like put a disco light on in the side and be like, all like, whoa. And it was ridiculous, but like seeing how other people would comment, let me know, like, and see my parents on there, like, holy shit, they know how to use YouTube. And I was able to just, see the camera lens and be like, that's the audience in there.
Yeah, it's weird. That's kind of how this whole thing started. It was originally just a website where I wrote music articles, and then the pandemic came and I started doing like weekend jams, and then this podcast came about. Like I honestly feel like, good things out of bad, that the pandemic did more for music and people's love of music and live music, like.
Definitely. Like shows right now feel like a million times as good as they ever have. And, just even seeing how like, we haven't worked for 18 months and all like the fans that like stepped out and bought a record, bought a t-shirt or like tipped the band on Venmo. Like it was really heartening to see. And it gave me something to look forward to every week.
Yeah,
I never thought I was like hosting my own little show like Wayne's World, but I loved it, and I hope I get to do it more.
I think
under better circumstances, hopefully, but
definitely. I think the craziest thing about it is just how easy it was. Like we all had these studios just at our fingertips for all these years. And then all of a sudden.
Yeah, like childlike minds where we just want to make stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to be a giant kid.
Absolutely. All right. Are you ready to take the Jawntlet? All right.
I'm ready for the Jawntlet.
So I didn't explain this previously, but the one-hit wonders actually were revised recently because there was a bunch of them that people like. It was not even up for debate, and I don't know why I put them together. Like one of them was like David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar, and
David Lee Roth, no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly. One person said Sammy Hagar, and I won't sell him out, but it was Bill Schmidt. But anyway, so here we go. The one-hit wonders. One-hit wonder number one: Billy Joel or Elton John?
Elton John, hands down.
Yeah.
Billy Joel.
No, a full-on sucks. Okay. Well, I've had no Billy Joels yet, so this is starting to be my new Sammy Hagar. Billy Joel is the new Sammy Hagar. Number two, Debbie Harry or Joan Jett? I
take them both because they're both very different. Take Joan Jett for the passion and Debbie Harry for the style.
I like it. Number three, Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
Again, both. You can't pick one of those. One's the queen of soul, the other one's the queen of rock and roll.
Yeah, that's actually how this one ended up in here. Is I don't know. There was like this tiny controversy a few years ago where Aretha was in her feelings because Beyonce called Tina Turner the queen during an awards show.
They're all queens.
Exactly. Look, you can be a monarch.
It's on that list. She ain't bitching. She's working.
That's right. Next one, Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Nirvana, I guess, because they were first.
Yeah. Okay. This will be in the past when this airs, but Friday is the release of Nevermind. So I'm going to have to ask, do you remember the first time you heard Nirvana?
Yeah, I remember the video and I remember being like, whoa, this is so cool. And I remember going to Sam Goody and buying the cassette single. And I still have it.
I think I still have mine too.
It's like millions of dollars by now. Nope.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, I might have mentioned this on here, but my mom turned me on to Nirvana, so like that's the coolest.
Oh,
like,
cool.
yeah. She was like, "I think you'll like this band," and she played it for me, and I was like, "What is it? Where? Why did you find this?" You know, like one of those moments.
Yeah,
but
that's great. Cool.
Next one, Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
Janis Joplin.
Okay.
She had something that was just like a once in a lifetime thing.
She really did. And everyone can hear Piece of My Heart and stuff like that. But some of those old blues jams are just.
Oh my God. I wish she had an easier time. It would have been lovely to see what else would have happened.
Definitely. Beatles or Stones?
I mean, I love them both, but if I had to pick, it would be the Beatles. Because the Beatles are my Buddha. The Beatles are my reason for everything.
Yeah. I can definitely see that.
that. My favorite Beatles, George Martin.
Oh, that even makes more sense than anything I think anyone has ever said.
It's humor.
Yeah.
He let the Beatles be funny. And that was, what was so endearing about them and so connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Last one hit wonder, Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
Bohemian Rhapsody for the vocal, Stairway to Heaven for the instrumental.
Okay. Yeah. I can definitely get behind
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. It's another one of those ones though that like I feel bad picking one, but
it's my least favorite Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah. I'm an Over the Hills and Far Away guy. That's me. Like
I love the Rain song.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. That's
great.
It's so like that song was a totem for me of like, I want to be in this song.
I love it. All right. So that was the one hit wonders. Now we have the top 10 countdown. I use Jawn in here as we all use Jawn to mean anything you want. So it doesn't have to be music if you don't want it to be. I tend to lean that way, but anything you want it to be. So question number 1, what was your first Jawn?
First Jawn was Fraggle Rock.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you use the Waze app?
No, I use Google Maps.
Oh, okay. If you use Waze right now, they have a feature where you can make Red Fraggle give your directions.
Red was so annoying though.
Yeah.
Like if they made an Uber, it would be so much better. It
was fun for like one trip. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh no.
Red? Gosh, she's annoying.
And I have to ask, so have you heard anything from the Hensons yet after your comment? No?
Not yet.
Okay, good. Number 2, what's your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
Current Jawn is Jacques Brel.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just love to like listen to him and pretend I know what he's singing about. Like, it's like I don't need to speak French, but I can feel what he's singing about, and I paint and I feel like I'm somewhere else.
That's awesome. I love it. Any particular song that you gravitate towards more than just
Alexa play Jacques Brel, but no Alexa, no Alexa.
It's awesome. That's really funny. Number 3, what was the first concert you went to?
It was the Monkees.
Really?
Actually, it was Liberace. It was Liberace at Monmouth College, but the first one I went to that I was like, yes, I'm stoked for this, even though I was dazzled by Liberace and his dancing fountains.
Yeah.
But it was the Monkees' 25th anniversary tour at Trump Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Herman's Hermits and Gary Puckett in the Union Gap opens.
That's an awesome bill. That is an awesome bill.
Yeah.
Were they all there, or was that one of Mike's sojourn? They were all there?
Mike wasn't there.
Okay.
But it was Dee, Mickey, and Peter. And me and my sister were just in heaven.
That's awesome. That show, I don't know the last time you've watched that show, but it's still absolutely brilliant. And it's timeless. It's really funny.
Yeah,
really
it's good
great
to just have on in the background at all times.
Yeah. This is a question that I don't know how it I don't always know how this translates when I ask other musicians because they're usually so busy. But what was the last concert you went to?
It was last week or the week before. I went and saw Lucy Dacus at Brooklyn Bowl.
Nice.
And this girl, Pale Hound, opened for her. She's from Philly. She killed it.
Really?
And we just all cried. It was great.
Oh, it's awesome. Sounds like a great
Yeah.
show. That
Yes.
like for the longest time during this show, that answer for me was the same thing because of the pandemic. And it started to feel like, is this my last concert? Like, am I ever going to go to music again? But thankfully.
Yeah, my last concert before the pandemic was Refused.
Wow.
So
Where at?
At someplace in New York or in Brooklyn. And it was Refused. And then I went and saw the Binky Griptide Orchestra. So it was like two totally different things, but I got them all in. And I'm glad I did, because I remember at the time being like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, just stick with one. I was like, no, I want to see it all.
We went to see Mondo Cosmo the night of lockdown. So like at midnight, they locked everything down, and it was like we left, and then that was it.
Yeah, I was supposed to go see the Black Lips, and then they canceled the show.
Yeah,
right before.
Well, we got through it though, right? We're here.
Yeah, we're striving.
Exactly. Number 5. What was your favorite concert you've ever been to?
There's so many, but like off the top of my head would be one of my favorites was Tame Impala in 2011 at the Bowery Ballroom.
Wow.
It was awesome. And like Kevin lost his voice, but it didn't matter. It was just like, I was like, I mean, usually back then I'd be like at the bar talking to somebody. And that whole show, I was like right up front, like, never gonna die. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So, them and like any Hive show, just because it's just
the energy. Yeah. That's like a slap you in the face kind of. That's
it makes you feel alive.
Absolutely. Number 6, who have you never seen live that you wish you would have, living or dead?
Jeff Buckley or Roy Orbison.
Yes.
I've seen it on, but like I kick myself.
Brilliant. One of my little mental things in my head is that it's a very specific, I wish I saw Jeff Buckley, which is Jeff Buckley played at the Grape Street Pub in Manayunk. And I can't imagine what that would have sounded like. Like it just, it was
incredible. It would have been the best show you ever saw. It would have been your answer to number 5.
That's 100%. And then, Roy Orbison, and I don't agree with this statement. Okay. But I've heard it twice. Mm-hmm. Someone says, I do an amazing Roy Orbison. I've heard it twice at live shows that like, cause I'll cover like, Handle with Care and, I forget what else I'm completely blanking right now.
I love Roy Orbison.
But someone came up to this old couple came up to me and they were like, you do an amazing Roy Orbison. And I was like, I swear to God, if you could tell me what I could do with that, I would.
Yeah.
Like,
that's awesome.
But I don't know why I brought that up.
It's the best compliment in the world.
It really was. Like I was like dumbfounded by it. Like I was like, oh thank you. Like, and those are the best compliments because they're not bullshit, right? Because you're like, no one would make that up. Like,
no one would tell you that.
Yeah,
as a lie.
So specific. Yeah, I appreciate it. Speaking of appreciation, number 7, what is your most unappreciated Jawn? What's something you champion for that you think needs some more shine?
This band Cotton Mather from Austin, Texas. They have this record or 2 records called Kontiki and The Big Picture. And it's Robert Harrison's band. They're just really inventive and amazing, soulful and cool. So,
all right. Excellent answer. Excellent answer. Number 9, name an artist whose output you will consume anything they put out, even if you have to be apologetic for it.
The Swedish band Dungen. Love to see. I love them. It's incredible. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. The 10th and final question of the top 10 countdown. And I hope you're prepared for this. What is your favorite Jawn of all time?
Favorite Jawn of all time. Well, can I have 2?
Sure.
Ave Maria.
Oh.
The best song. And Santo and Johnny Sleepwalk.
Oh my God.
Song.
Yeah. And also another, like if you could put those 2 things together, you would almost get your sound. Like, think about it. But
That's
no,
the
think
best
about it. Like,
I've
yeah,
heard. Write that down.
right. And like
I'm gonna
the,
get that tattooed on my chest.
but seriously, like, just the kind of atmospherically melodic sound of Santo and Johnny. And then like, yeah, I get it. I didn't make it up. It makes sense to me. It completely makes sense to me. So what's next on the horizon? What are you working on?
Going to dinner.
Oh, sorry.
I have I re-recorded Italian Ice in Memphis at a really beautiful studio called Memphis Magnetic with a string section and a piano player, and redid all. And so we made a film of it and a vinyl, and we announced that in a couple of weeks.
That's unbelievable. That is cool. How did that feel with the strings? Like, just
loved it, and I just singing. I felt really connected to my singing and like performing, and I realized that I want to make a whole record like that. So my next record, I'm going to spend the next year just working on how to make new standards.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have a title for it? Because have you thought about Water Ice? I'm sorry.
No.
I'm coming back to it. Nicole, I absolutely appreciate this. Like I said, I've been an enormous fan since Neptune City. Like that we're even having this conversation is kind of surreal to me. So,
re-recording that album as well.
What's that?
So I'm re-recording Neptune City.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, strings?
Be great. Strings, everything, it's just, and it's going to have a lot of the songs that we're missing on it as well.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Yeah. 2007, I was sitting at work listening to that album. And then today, as I was sitting at work, I was texting you, setting up this interview. And it's just weird. It's a weird thing to me. But
music that was never in style. You'll never go out of style.
I appreciate it. Well, here's my last thing I just want to leave you with. You've done Conan O'Brien. You've done David Letterman. How do I measure up? Am I close?
I mean, they were all great. It's just really fun to be on TV, but I think my favorite was Jules Holland.
I bet. Well, that's someone who appreciates down to the note music.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it was just, everything was live and all the bands are playing apart from each other, and it was there was nothing comparable to that.
That's awesome. Tell these good folks how they can find you on the internet, so they can get some followed.
NicoleAtkins.com, NicoleAtkins, like the diet. And that's my handle on Instagram and Twitter and all that, all those Jawns.
I love it. Nicole, thank you so much. I will gladly say that you are my Jawn. Yeah, you are one of my Jawns, and I will send you that video. And again, XPN, I'm sorry. Please don't sue me. But I took it down. So we're all good.
Yes, personal use.
Yes, personal use. I'm sending it to Nicole. Awesome. Again, thank you.
All right,
My thanks again to Nicole Atkins for coming on my dumb little show, and more importantly, for the music she has gifted to the world. You can find Nicole on her website, www.nicoleatkins.com, and on Instagram and Twitter @Nicole Atkins. Her album Italian Ice is available on your streaming service of choice, and be on the lookout for the live version coming out this fall. If you have not already, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. Matter of fact, why don't you go ahead and subscribe and review us on some of the ones you don't get your podcasts from, just for good measure. And as always, if you are an overachiever and you want to earn yourself a super awesome Jawn Scout Merit Badge for Citizenship of the World, you can do it just by rating and reviewing us. How simple is that? Don't forget to visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/yothat'smyjawn for updates and live streams. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter @YoThat'sMyJawn, and find the Yo That's My Jawn YouTube channel and like and subscribe the heck out of that ish. We want to hear from you. Reach out and touch some Jawn. We're back. We're back in the saddle. Hey, yeah. Oh, yeah. New season, new me. Feeling kind of cute. Might post this. IDK. Thanks as always for listening, Blue Skies. Until next time, everybody.
Your taste in music doesn't have to be measured. You ain't being judged, you won't get a score. So what the
Yo, That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by Phil Tyler Music featuring Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Natalie Runkle, and the incredibly brilliant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com. Or you can leave an audio message for us and possibly hear yourself on a future episode by visiting anchor.fm/ytmj/message. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure and shout to the world, yo, that's my Jawn.